Okay, so have you ever noticed this? Like, you're learning English, you've got all the, like, the vocab, you've got the grammar rules, you've been studying all this stuff.
Right.
But then when you actually try to speak, it's like you just freeze up.
Yeah.
It's like all those rules and all those words just kind of vanish, and you're left there like...
Yeah, you overthink it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating because you just want to, like, have a conversation. You want to express yourself.
Right.
But it feels like there's this, like, mental block holding you back.
You got it. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. We're going to tackle this whole thing about overthinking when you're speaking English.
That's right.
Because it's a huge problem for so many English learners, and we want to break it down for you.
Absolutely.
So we're going to explore why it happens, how it affects your fluency, and most importantly, some really practical strategies to overcome it.
Love it.
Because the key here is to realize that you can actually become more fluent if you just let go of trying to be perfect all the time.
So true.
Just relax and express yourself.
Yeah. And tell us with this, we've been checking out this really cool video from the Easy English Talk YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those guys.
Yeah, they're great. It's called Just Speak, Don't Overthink.
Catchy title.
Right. And it's all about improving your English speaking skills. And it features these two hosts, Jason and Julia, and they have this fantastic discussion specifically on this overthinking issue.
Makes sense.
So our mission today is to, like, extract the golden nuggets from their conversation.
Exactly.
The actionable insights that you can use to break free from this overworking trap and start speaking English more naturally and confidently.
I like it.
So where should we begin? Like, what are the main reasons why people overthink when they speak English?
Well, I think one of the biggest culprits that Jason and Julia touched on is this fear of making mistakes.
Oh, wait, for sure.
It's like this universal thing. Nobody wants to sound stupid or be laughed at when they're speaking another language.
Right. It's embarrassing.
Exactly. And so your brain starts to freak out a little bit. Like, what if I mispronounce this word? What if my grammar is all messed up?
Or if they don't understand me at all?
Right. And that fear can be so powerful that it just paralyzes you. You hesitate, you get stuck, or you might even avoid speaking altogether.
Yeah, I totally get that. And another thing they mentioned is this habit of translating everything in your head.
Oh, yeah, the word-for-word translation trap.
Right, you're trying to form a sentence in your native language and then translate it word for word into English.
Which never works out quite right.
Exactly, because languages just don't work that way,
And it slows you down so much.
It's like there's a delay button in your brain.
And by the time you've translated the whole sentence, the conversation has moved on.
Exactly, and you're just left there feeling lost.
So frustrating.
And it's not just about accuracy in translation, it's also this whole perfectionism thing.
Oh, yeah. You want to sound like a native speaker immediately?
With perfect grammar and pronunciation.
Flawless, right from the start.
Right, and that's just not realistic.
Nope, not at all.
And it sets you up for failure because you're constantly comparing yourself to this unattainable ideal.
And then you get discouraged.
Exactly.
Jason and Julia made a really interesting comparison to how children learn languages.
Yeah.
They don't worry about being perfect. They just start babbling and making all sorts of mistakes.
That's how they learn.
But they're not afraid to try, and that's the key.
They're just so free.
Exactly, and they learn through those mistakes.
And there's another factor, isn't there, that lack of confidence?
Oh, yeah, big time.
Julia really emphasized how self-doubt can fuel this overthinking.
Absolutely. You start thinking things like, my English isn't good enough. People are going to judge me.
And it just creates this vicious cycle.
You doubt yourself. You don't speak as much. And because you don't speak, you don't improve.
And it just reinforces that lack of confidence.
Exactly. It's like a downward spiral.
So we've talked about why people overthink, but how does this actually impact your fluency and your confidence?
Well, first of all, it makes you speak super slowly.
Right.
Because you're analyzing every single word, every grammar rule before you even open your mouth.
It's like your brain is on overdrive.
Exactly. And it disrupts the natural flow of conversation.
It makes you sound hesitant and unnatural.
Like a robot.
And as Jason mentioned, you might even miss opportunities to participate in the conversation because you're so busy overthinking.
Yeah, you're still trying to formulate the perfect sentence while everyone else has moved on.
So frustrating.
And that can really damage your confidence,
Absolutely, because you feel like you're not keeping up.
And you start to avoid speaking situations altogether.
Which just makes the problem worse.
Exactly. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And Julia made a really interesting point about overthinking making your English sound robotic.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're so focused on grammar and correctness.
You lose that natural conversational tone.
Right. native speakers don't always speak perfectly,
They use contractions, might make a few grammar mistakes here and there.
but their speech flows smoothly.
And it sounds natural.
Exactly. So how do we break free from this overthinking trap? What are some strategies that we can use to start speaking more freely and confidently?
Well, the good news is that you can train your brain to stop overthinking so much.
Yeesh, that's encouraging.
And one of the first steps is to change your mindset.
In what way?
Well, instead of aiming for perfection, just focus on communicating your message effectively.
That makes sense.
It takes the pressure off.
Yeah, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be understood.
Exactly. And remember, even native speakers make mistakes.
Oh yeah, all the time.
So don't beat yourself up about it.
And another important tip is to think in English.
Right. Ditch that translation habit.
So instead of translating from your native language, try to think directly in English.
Like if you see a cat,
Just think cat.
don't think of the word for cat in your native language and then translate it.
It'll make your speaking so much faster and more fluid.
Absolutely. And Julia had this great tip about speaking without stopping.
Oh yeah, just keep going.
Even if you make mistakes, even if you don't know the perfect word, just keep talking.
It's all about building fluency.
And if you get stuck on a word, try to explain it in a simple way.
Like if you don't know the word for refrigerator,
Just say the thing that keeps food cold.
exactly, you don't have to stop and search for the perfect word.
Just keep the conversation flowing.
And another tip that might sound counterintuitive is to use filler words.
Things like, like,
I use those all the time,
we all do. It's natural.
and it gives you a little bit of time to think.
Without that awkward silence.
Right, it makes you sound more like a native speaker.
And finally, Julia's favorite trick is to focus on the message, not the grammar.
Meaning,
Don't get so hung up on grammar rules that you forget what you're trying to say.
it's more important to communicate effectively.
Exactly, even if you make a few grammar mistakes.
Would you rather be grammatically perfect but silent?
Or make a few mistakes, but actually communicate your ideas.
I think the answer is clear.
Fluency is key.
So we've covered a lot of great strategies, but how can people actually put these into practice?
Well, Jason and Julia had some excellent practical exercises.
Let's hear them.
Okay, so the first one is the 1-minute speaking challenge.
Sounds intense.
It's actually really simple. Just pick a topic, anything you like.
Like your favorite food?
Exactly. And then talk about it for 1 minute without stopping.
Don't worry about mistakes. Just keep talking.
You can even record yourself to track your progress.
I love that idea.
Another exercise is to describe your surroundings in English.
Like, what do you see around you right now?
For example, I see a microphone, a laptop, a water bottle.
Full sentences.
But it gets you thinking in English.
And then there's shadowing.
This is great for pronunciation and intonation.
How does that work?
You listen to a native speaker, like a podcast or a YouTube video,
Okay.
and then you repeat what they say, trying to copy their rhythm and intonation.
Like you're their shadow.
Exactly. It helps you internalize those natural speech patterns.
Cool. And what about storytelling?
Oh, this is a fun one.
I love stories.
Just pick a short story or a personal experience and tell it in English.
You can start simple and gradually add more details.
It helps you practice organizing your thoughts and speaking spontaneously.
And lastly, they mentioned practicing with AI.
Like ChatGPT or Google Assistant.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's a low-pressure way to practice speaking.
Because you're not talking to a real person.
Exactly. You can experiment and make mistakes without feeling embarrassed.
So many great exercises.
And the key is to be consistent.
Even a little bit of practice every day can make a big difference.
Absolutely. And there's one more crucial thing we need to talk about.
What's that?
Our attitude towards mistakes.
Oh, yeah, this is the big one.
Because the fear of making mistakes is often what causes us to overthink.
True.
But Jason and Julia made a really important point. Mistakes are not the enemy.
They're actually our friends.
In a way, yes, because they show us where we need to improve.
They're proof that we're learning.
Exactly. They use this great analogy of a child learning to walk. The child falls down countless times.
But they don't give up.
They get back up and keep trying.
And eventually they learn to walk.
And it's the same with language learning.
Those mistakes are just part of the process.
And you know what? Even native speakers make mistakes.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
But they don't let it stop them from speaking.
That's the key.
So instead of seeing mistakes as failures, see them as opportunities to learn.
Like, okay, I made a mistake. Now I know what to work on.
Exactly. That's the right attitude.
So to sum up all of this amazing advice,
We need to shift our mindset from perfection to effective communication.
we need to practice thinking in English.
We need to get comfortable speaking without stopping.
And we need to embrace our mistakes.
It's all about changing our perspective.
And most importantly, we need to start speaking today.
Don't wait for the perfect moment. Just start practicing.
Even if it's just for a few minutes every day.
Remember the key message. Just speak. Don't overthink.
Consistent practice is what will make you a more confident and fluent English speaker.
So here's a final thought for you now that you know all of this. What's the first small step you can take today?
To start unleashing your English speaking potential.
What action will you commit to right now?